Hello, my name's Beth, and in this video, I want to talk to you about the Knit+Stitch show. Today, I want to talk through what I thought of the show. I'm going to mention some stores that I really loved, but I didn't buy from, and then I'm going to give you a little haul of what I did end up buying. I went to the Knit+Stitch show this month with my mum as an early birthday present. We got bronze VIP tickets, which enabled us to access a small area for kind of resting and ordering drinks, which also got us access to a cloakroom and 2 free drinks tokens. I was also given this really nice tote bag, which had a map and our tokens in, and this came in handy a lot during the show because I actually ended up buying quite a lot. So, really lovely tote bag. I had such a good time at this show, a better time than I thought I would. I was really worried about going on a Saturday because I was quite worried about the crowds and how hard it would be to move around. But hats off to the Knit+Stitch team because all the crowd management areas were really on point. They had a stellar security team which managed the queue to get in really well. There was a massive queue at the start of the day and they were really on it to direct people to where to line up and how to get in. The booths were also spaced really nicely apart, so you could maneuver around. Even at the busiest point of the day, there wasn't a point where I was kind of stuck shuffling behind someone. The booths are also a really nice size, so you could easily get to a booth and be able to see what people were selling, even when it was really busy. And lastly, there were quite a good range of food and drinks vendors, so it didn't feel like you had to wait too long to get a drink or food when you needed it. The only downside for me was that the queues for the toilets were quite long. This may just have been that I picked a bad time to go to bathroom, but it was right at the end of the day and I ended up just waiting until we got to our next stop in the end. There was such a phenomenal range of stores. As predominantly a knitter and crocheter, I thought about 50% of the stalls I just wouldn't be interested in. But outside of the yarn and fabric stores, they also had notions and accessories and toys and buttons and jewelry and prints. There was so much to look at and explore. So I'd say overall, only about 20% of the stalls weren't of interest to me. So that was really awesome. I was also just not ready for the amount of deals that there were at the show. The only other show I have to compare it to is Unraveled, which really focuses on boutique, hand-dyed, or British spun yarns. For the Knit+Stitch show had such a wide range. You could still get those boutique, hand-dyed, and luxury fibers, but they also had yarn outlets and bargain multi-packs. It was really nice to see that people could shop comfortably on any budget and really enjoy browsing. Overall, I had a very positive experience and I'm already planning on going again next year. What I have noticed is there's a Northern Ireland Knit+Stitch show, which also showcases a lot of Irish yarn, and I'd be really keen to go to that festival. I didn't see as many of the exhibitions as I should have. Me and my mum decided to look through the exhibitions at the end of the day when we were already quite tired. I maybe should have done that earlier in the day, but I was quite nervous to just get into the shopping side of it. So that definitely swayed my decision on what to do to start with. Also, we got into a really good rhythm of exploring the show on our own for an hour and then meeting back up at the cafe to do a little recce, to show each other what we bought and to just check in with each other. We ended up doing that twice. And then on the third hour, we went together. That was a really nice way to pace myself and not get too overwhelmed with all of the choice that was in the room. So I want to mention a couple of stalls that I didn't buy from, but I was really intrigued by. The first off was Brian's Best Yarns. This was one of the stalls that had the multi-packs of yarn, but whereas some of the outlet stalls had predominantly acrylic, this had yarns like Noro, which I've only ever seen once before in person. And they had packs of 10 of the Silk Garden Sock Solo and the DK weight version of that yarn. And I was so tempted because they was selling them for such a good price. Unfortunately, they didn't have any of the colors that I was really drawn to, and at that part of the day, I was in buying mode and I kind of needed to snap myself out of it. I needed to be much more strict with myself about why I was buying yarn. So buying a yarn that I didn't even like the color of, probably not a good idea. But it was really interesting to see those kind of offers at somewhere like a big show. The next stall that I was really intrigued by was Cozy Kitchen Fibres. This yarn is hand dyed with a painting technique, and their two current collections are really cute. One is based on Beatrix Potter characters, and another one is based on Monet paintings. I really loved a yarn that was based on one of the Monet collections, but they only had one skein, and they're all so individually dyed that it is best to get these yarns like in the same batch because they turn out so differently from one another. The next stall that I was really intrigued by was a stall called Hermy Yarns. Particularly, they had a blend of, I think it was silk and wool in this beautiful blue colour with flecks of green. The only thing holding me back was that it was much more expensive than any of the other yarns there, and I just didn't have a project that I wanted to use it for. But I would love to buy from this stallholder in the future. They were also just really lovely to talk to. You could tell that they were so passionate about dyeing yarn and sourcing yarn. The spinner that they work with is very local to them, so they can specify exactly what kind of blends they want. And it was just so nice to talk to someone who is so passionate about their business. The last stall that I was really close to buying from, but just wasn't in the position to, was a stall called So Murdoch Prints. They sell vintage pin-up prints and they were absolutely gorgeous. And I particularly liked one particular lady, and I could picture it on the wall in my bedroom. But Mum and I were going to a show after the festival, and I didn't have a flat enough surface that I could safely store it in. So I'm going to put this on the back burner. I would very much like to pick up a print from this seller and have it in my bedroom in the future. Okay, on to the haul. I don't think I did too badly. So I got 2 garment quantities and an accessory quantity, along with 2 cute little fabric bits for lining. And I'll take you through these one by one. So the first stall that I bought something at was called Creative Anarchy. I have bought from the store before because they were at Unraveled Festival, and the owner of the stall is so patient. I hung around that stall for so long. They had a sale basket, and I picked up 3 of these Surrey lace weight yarns, but I was a bit unsure about them, so I just wanted to look at the other yarns, see if I could pair them with anything. Yeah, I was there for so long trying to figure out what I was going to use them for, but she really helped me kind of talk through what I was going to do with them and if they were going to work and what I could use them for. So I was really grateful. And then I kept coming back to that store a few times. So the accessory quantity of yarn I bought from there, I have this beautiful Surrey fluff, which doesn't have a colorway because this was in the sale bin, but it's like pink and dark green and cream. And I decided to pair that with this beautiful color called Toe Beans. This is 100% superwash merino, and it is really soft. So I don't quite have enough of this color, but I am going to hope and pray and also maybe find a scrap of pink that I could weave in with it. I would like to use these to make the Sadie Snuggle Snood by Famk by Mippy the Label. Really excited to see how these turn out. The other yarn that I got from Creative Anarchy were these 2 skeins of Surrey fluff in this beautiful turquoise colour. Again, these don't have a colourway because they were in the sale bin as well. I was so happy that there were 2 of these because this is enough to make a vest. And I just spent the rest of the day trying to find a blue to match with them. So I walked around the show quite a lot before I found the stall Strictly Hand-Dyed Yarns. And I fell in love with this beautiful merino alpaca combination. So this is 60% merino and 20% alpaca with 20% nylon. And it is really nice. And I thought because the silk is Surrey alpaca silk, that it'd be nice to pair it with an alpaca yarn. Show you these together. This is kind of the idea. I thought they would balance each other out, like the blue would calm down the turquoise and the turquoise would brighten up the blue. And I've actually made a swatch for these. So here is my swatch. I think this looks absolutely fabulous. So I am planning on making this Stockholm vest V-neck by Beth Knit. It's just a very basic vest pattern, which is what I'm looking for. This is currently the only vest that I have, and I really love a pastel version to go with more of my pastel shirt. I love this combination. It is so soft and squishy, and I think this will knit up into such a beautiful drapey vest. The last purchase I made was from a stall called Colouring Yarns. They're a Korean brand who hand dyes their yarn. They had a beautiful spread of tonally dyed yarn, so I fell totally in love with this beautiful pink colour. It's kind of a mix of cream and pink, and it doesn't have a colour name on it, but it's 75% wool and 25% nylon. It's a DK weight, and I bought 6 skeins. I did only need 5, but I had a quick look on the website. I was under pressure, I was in the middle of a show with really bad internet, and I just wanted to make sure that if I did need it, I could get it, and I was not sure. So just to be safe, I bought the extra skein, and I'm so glad I did, because if I don't end up using it, I'm definitely making an accessory. This is such a beautiful colour. I'm so happy with it. This purchase also came quite out of the blue. It was fairly late in the day, and I hadn't explored that part of the room at all, so I hadn't clocked that there was more yarn stalls in that particular corner of the exhibition. But as soon as I saw it, I could not get it out of my head. I actually went to another stall and we weren't going to come back, but I had to go back and get it. I just really thought the colour was so beautiful, and I knew exactly what pattern I wanted to use. So I'm actually going to use this yarn for another Famp Goat by Mippy the Label pattern called the Maple Meadow Cardigan. It's a fairly recent release, and I just think this cardigan is so beautiful. I've seen a couple of people that I watch podcasts of make this cardigan, and now that I've almost finished my Minot cardigan, I'm so keen for another one. I've been really enjoying cardigan knitting, and I do wear cardigans more in my wardrobe, so it is something that I would like to bulk out. And I can't wait to get started. The problem with buying so much beautiful yarn is now I have so many things that I want to cast on, and I have to really hold my line and finish the things that I have on my needles already, because I could have another 3 projects right now if I wanted to, because all of this stuff is so beautiful. To finish up, I'm very excited to get test swatch done of this cardigan and to start it. I'm committing to finishing my Minone cardigan first, as well as my last 2 Christmas gifts. And then I'm allowed to start knitting with this new yarn. My last couple of purchases, I'm actually really annoyed with myself because I don't remember which store I bought these from. It was a really impulsive purchase. I was originally looking for a little bit of fabric, like in a fat quarter, that I could line a lilac pouch that I'm going to make. And I was looking for something quite matchy with maybe flowers or cute things on. But I passed this stall and I thought the fabric was so silly. I just decided I was going to get some, and I'm going to line the lilac pouch with it. I bought some very silly fabric and I'm absolutely in love. I think I'm going to use this one to line my lilac pouch in because there is purple in it, so I think it would match quite well. But I would love to use this fabric. I'm quite keen to make myself a needle case. The one I have right now, it doesn't fit all of my interchangeable needles in, and I'd love to make a case that I can keep adding to it. So maybe there's a a boob needle case in my future. I can walk away from these. They're so cute and they're really good value. All of the fat quarters were selling from between £2 to £5, like depending on which store you went to. So again, such a handy thing to pick up for lining. They're my silly fabric buy. So overall, I had such a great time. I really advise getting the VIP ticket if you are in any way worried about needing a dedicated place to sit. It was so good to head into that area whenever we were feeling tired or we needed a snack or a rest. I loved the range of stalls and I loved the amount of deals I was able to get. So many of this yarn was either sale yarn or was just at such a good price. I was delighted with my haul and I just had a really lovely day. So 100%, I would love to go to the Knit+Stitch again. I would like to go to the Knit+Stitch in London, but I'm also really keen to go to the Knit+Stitch in Northern Ireland. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed me talking about this particular show. And let me know if this has tempted you to check it out. And for now, that's all. And I'll see you in the next one, hopefully. Bye.